Captain Lisa Reed sat in the back row of the lecture hall. Her hands rested flat on the desk. Around her, 200 alien students filled the seats. Some had scales. Some had tentacles. Some floated in special gravity fields. She was one of only 3 humans in the entire Galactic Military Academy. Today's lesson made her feel very alone. Instructor Krell stood at the front of the room. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall. His reptilian body was covered in dark green scales that reflected the lights. When he moved, his tail swept across the floor behind him. He was teaching military history, and today the subject was Earth. The Human Korthax War, Krell announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. This war shows us what happens when a species does not understand its limits. He pressed a button. The holographic display showed Earth. The beautiful blue planet was covered in scars. Cities burned. Orbital stations exploded in silent flashes. In the year 2287, humanity made a terrible mistake, Krell continued. They challenged the Korthax Empire. The Korthax were one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. They had conquered 40 star systems. Their fleets numbered in the thousands. Lisa kept her face neutral. She had heard this story before. Everyone in the galaxy knew this story. Or they thought they did. Earth had only recently joined the galactic community, Krell said. They were new, inexperienced. They did not understand what real war meant. He pulled up another image. Human warships floated dead in space, their hulls torn open. Within the first month, the Korthax destroyed 30% of Earth's naval forces. Within 6 months, 70% of human ships were gone. A student near the front raised a tentacle. The creature looked like a floating jellyfish. How many humans died? It asked. Billions, Krell replied simply. Their colonies burned. The Korthax orbital bombardment killed entire planets. Humanity had never seen death on this scale. Around the room, students began glancing at Lisa. She felt their eyes on her. Some looked sad. Some looked uncomfortable. They were looking at her the way people look at someone whose family had died. With pity. With awkward sympathy. The war lasted only 8 months, Krell continued. He seemed to be warming to his subject now. By the end, Earth had nothing left to fight with. Their economy was destroyed. Their fleets were scattered. Their people were starving. He pulled up a document on the screen. This is the Surrender Treaty. Humanity agreed to become a tributary state of the Korthax Empire. They would pay taxes. They would provide resources. They would follow Korthax law. It was either that or complete extinction. A bird-like student in the middle row spoke up. Did they have any choice? No, Krell said firmly. They had no choice at all. The Korthax could have wiped them out completely. The surrender was actually a mercy. It allowed humanity to survive. Lisa's jaw tightened. Her hands pressed harder against the desk. This war teaches us important lessons, Krell said. He began counting on his clawed fingers. First, technology alone does not win wars. Earth had good ships but not enough of them. Second, bravery cannot overcome reality. Humans fought hard, but hard fighting means nothing against superior numbers. Third, some species are simply not built for large-scale war. He turned to face the class directly. His yellow eyes swept across the students. Humanity learned their place in 2287. They learned that they are a small species in a big galaxy. Since that defeat, they have been wise. They focus on trade now. On diplomacy. On peaceful things. The war taught them to avoid military conflict. Several students nodded. It made sense to them. A small species had challenged a large empire and lost. It was the natural order of things. The Korthax Empire showed mercy, Krell continued. They could have destroyed Earth completely. Instead, they allowed humans to rebuild under their protection. Today, human worlds exist because the Korthax were generous in victory. Lisa felt something hot building in her chest. Her fingers curled slightly on the desk. Questions? Krell asked. Lisa raised her hand. The instructor's eyes found her. Something flickered across his reptilian face. Annoyance maybe. Or discomfort. Yes, Captain Reed? Sir, Lisa said. Her voice was calm. Clear. Have you read the last page of the war report? The room went quiet. Students looked at each other, confused. What did she mean? Krell's scales darkened slightly. I have reviewed all the documentation, Captain. The war's outcome is well known. It is historical fact. Every species in the galaxy knows what happened. Yes, sir, Lisa said. She stood up slowly. But have you actually read the last page? The final page of the official Galactic Council military report. The outcome is clear on every page, Krell said. His tone had sharpened. I understand this history is painful for you, but facts do not change because they hurt. I completely agree, sir, Lisa said. She began walking down the steps toward the front of the room. Her boots clicked on the metal floor. Each step was measured. Come. May I approach your terminal? Krell hesitated. His tail twitched. If you must. Lisa reached the instructor's station at the front. 200 pairs of eyes watched her. Some were curious. Some were confused. Some thought she was about to embarrass herself. She pulled up the official report on the main display. The header appeared for everyone to see. Galactic Council Military Analysis. Human Korthax Conflict 2287 to 2288. She began scrolling. Page after page appeared. Fleet losses. Casualty counts. Occupied territories. Battle reports. Everything Krell had shown them. Everything that proved Earth had lost. She kept scrolling. The class watched in silence. Some students shifted uncomfortably. This seemed like a waste of time. Lisa reached the final page. The last section. She stopped scrolling. Here, she said quietly. She pointed to a line near the bottom of the page. Krell leaned forward. His eyes focused on the text. As he read, the color drained from his scales. His mouth opened slightly. The line was simple. Clear. Undeniable. Treaty status. Korthax unconditional surrender. Stardate September 12, 2287. The room exploded. What? Someone shouted. That's impossible, another student yelled. It must be wrong, a third voice called out. Krell stood frozen, staring at the screen. His claws gripped the edge of his station. Lisa pulled up another document. This is from the Korthax Historical Archive, she said over the noise. Official enemy records. She pointed to another section. Korthax Empire requests peace. All occupied human territories returned. Military reparations agreed and paid. The chaos grew louder. A Vorton student stood up, his tentacles waving wildly. This has to be fake. Everyone knows humanity surrendered. Lisa pulled up a third document. This one had a special seal at the top. Independent analysis from the Observers Union. Neutral species who watched the whole war. She turned to face the class. Her voice cut through the noise. Earth won the Human Korthax War. The Korthax Empire surrendered unconditionally in September 2287. Instructor Krell's claws were leaving small marks in the metal of his station. This cannot be, he whispered. How could everyone not know this? How is this possible? Lisa looked up at him. Then she looked at the stunned faces of her classmates. Would you like to know what really happened? She asked softly. Would you like to know how a species that lost 70% of its fleet managed to win? The classroom had never been this loud. Students shouted over each other. Some stood from their seats. Others waved tentacles or appendages in the air. The normally quiet lecture hall had become chaos. This is a mistake, a tall insect-like student called out. His multiple eyes blinked rapidly. The data must be corrupted. Or fake, another voice added. Someone changed the files. Lisa stood calmly at the front of the room. She waited. She had expected this reaction. Everyone in the galaxy knew the story. Everyone knew Earth had lost. Changing what people believed was never easy. Instructor Krell stared at the screen. His clawed hand still gripped the edge of the terminal. His scales had gone pale. This must be an error in the archive system, he said, but his voice was uncertain. A filing mistake. Someone placed the wrong document in the wrong folder. That's what I thought too, sir, Lisa said. When I first found it 5 years ago. She looked out at the sea of confused faces. So I checked other sources. She pulled up a new document. This one had different formatting. The text was in the angular script of the Korthax language with a translation below it. This is from the Korthax Imperial Archives. Official state records. Stored in their capital world's main library. The room grew slightly quieter. Students leaned forward to read. Treaty of Surrender, Lisa read aloud. Signed by Queen Commander Thraxis on behalf of the Korthax Empire. Terms: immediate withdrawal from all human territories. Return of all prisoners. Payment of reconstruction costs to Earth. Korthax fleets to reduce to defensive numbers only. A small furry student near the front spoke up. Her voice was confused. But we all learned in basic history that Earth surrendered. My teachers on my homeworld taught this. How can the Korthax records say they surrendered? Good question, Lisa said. She pulled up a third document. This is from the Galactic Council's secure archives. These are not the public records. These are the actual diplomatic cables from the time. Krell finally moved. He stepped closer to the screen, reading over her shoulder. His breath came faster. The document showed a series of messages. Lisa scrolled to one dated September 10, 2287. This is from the council mediator assigned to negotiate the peace. He writes, "The Korthax have agreed to all human terms. Their empire is exhausted. They cannot continue. Formal surrender will be signed in 2 days." "No," a student said from the back. "No, this doesn't make sense. If Earth won, why doesn't anyone know? Why do all our history books say Earth lost?" Lisa pulled up a fourth source. The Observers Union. Completely neutral species. They watch wars but never participate. They record everything for historical accuracy. She pointed to a section of their report. Final assessment. Korthax Empire defeated through war of attrition. Human resistance proved unsustainable for Korthax military and economic systems. Victory, Earth. The room had gone almost silent now. The shock was settling in. Students stared at the documents with wide eyes or sensor organs or whatever they used to see. A reptilian student stood slowly. "But I saw the images. The destroyed human fleets. The burning colonies. How can that be victory?" "Winning doesn't always look like victory," Lisa said quietly. "Not at first." Krell turned to face her. His yellow eyes were filled with confusion. "Captain Reed, if what you're showing us is true, then why does the entire galaxy believe Earth surrendered? Why would the Korthax allow everyone to think they won? Would you want to admit defeat?" Lisa asked. "If you were the Korthax? If you were the largest empire in the galaxy, and a tiny species of newcomers forced you to surrender?" She pulled up an image. It showed Korthax news broadcasts from 2287. Look at what they told their own people. Peace achieved. Strategic objectives met. Costly campaign concluded successfully. They never used the word surrender in their own media. They never told their citizens they lost. Another document appeared. And look at what they told other species. Conflict with humans resolved. Both sides agreed to peace. Territory exchanges negotiated. They made it sound like a draw. Like both sides just decided to stop fighting. A floating jellyfish student drifted closer to the screen. But why would everyone believe them? Didn't anyone check? Most species did check, Lisa said. They looked at the casualty numbers. They saw that Earth lost 40% of its pre-war population. They saw the destroyed fleets. They saw the burned colonies. And they assumed that meant Earth lost. She paused. Because in most wars, the side that takes the most damage is the side that loses. But not this time, Krell said slowly. Understanding was starting to dawn on his face. Not this time, Lisa agreed. She pulled up a comparison chart. Earth casualties, 40% of population. 40 billion people dead. 70% of military forces destroyed. 300 warships lost. She scrolled down. Korthax casualties, 60% of military forces destroyed. 15,000 warships lost. Economy reduced by 70%. 4 client species in open rebellion. Total economic collapse within 8 months of war start. The numbers hung on the screen. Students did the math in their heads. Earth took more total deaths, a bird-like student said slowly. But the Korthax took more military damage. Much more, Lisa confirmed. By month 6 they had lost more ships than Earth ever built. By month 7 their economy was failing. By month 8 they couldn't afford to keep fighting. She pulled up another image. This one showed a graph. This is Korthax military readiness over time. See how it drops. By the war's end they had almost no functional military left. Everything was damaged or destroyed or stuck in human space being attacked by resistance fighters. Krell sat down heavily in his chair. The large reptilian instructor looked smaller now. "I have been teaching this wrong," he said quietly. "For 15 years, I have been teaching this wrong." "Not just you, sir," Lisa said gently. "Almost every instructor. Almost every history book. Almost every species in the galaxy." She turned back to the class. The Korthax made sure everyone believed they won. Or at least that nobody won. They were embarrassed. Humiliated. So they controlled the narrative. And humanity let them, Krell said. It wasn't a question. "We did," Lisa confirmed. "Earth was devastated. We lost so many people. Entire worlds were empty. We were focused on rebuilding, not on bragging. We didn't care what story the galaxy believed. We just cared about surviving." A long silence fell over the room. Students stared at the screens, at the documents, at the proof that everything they knew was wrong. Finally, a small voice spoke up from the middle rows. What actually happened? How did Earth win after losing so much? Lisa looked at Instructor Krell. He nodded slowly. I think, he said, his voice rough, we need to hear the real story. Lisa took a breath. It's not a pretty story. It's not a story about glorious victories or brilliant tactics. It's a story about something else entirely. She pulled up a new image. It showed human soldiers on a ruined world. They looked tired, desperate, but still armed, still fighting. It's a story about what happens, Lisa said, when you fight a species that doesn't know how to quit. Lisa stood before the silent classroom. Every eye in the room was fixed on her. The chaos from before had faded into stunned quiet. Now they wanted to understand. They needed to understand. The galaxy made a simple mistake, Lisa began. Her voice was steady, clear. You all saw Earth's fleets destroyed. You saw our colonies burning. You saw the casualty numbers. And you assumed that meant we surrendered. She pulled up a star map. Red dots marked human colonies. This is what the Korthax saw in month 1. They destroyed our main fleet at the Battle of Proxima. It was a complete defeat. We lost 200 ships in 6 hours. The Korthax commander sent a message to Earth demanding surrender. What did Earth say? A student asked. We said no, Lisa replied simply. She changed the image. So the Korthax moved to our colonies. They had overwhelming force. Their fleets surrounded our worlds one by one. They bombed our cities. They landed troops. They raised their flags. She paused. And they thought they had won. The star map changed again. Small red marks appeared across the Korthax-controlled worlds. This is month 2. The Korthax controlled 15 human colonies. They had governors in place, occupation forces, supply lines, everything an occupying army needs. She zoomed in on one planet. This is New Terra. Population 3 million before the war. The Korthax conquered it in 3 days. Their fleet left. They kept 10,000 soldiers on the ground to maintain order. That seems like enough, a reptilian student said. It wasn't, Lisa said quietly. She pulled up casualty reports. In the first week of occupation, the Korthax lost 200 soldiers. Bombs in their barracks. Snipers in the ruins. Supply convoys ambushed on empty roads. In the second week, they lost 500 more. In the third week, 1,000. The numbers appeared on screen. Week by week. Month by month. The Korthax losses kept climbing. The humans didn't have a military anymore, Lisa continued. Not a traditional one. But they had 3 million people who refused to accept occupation. Farmers became fighters. Teachers became bombers. Children ran messages between resistance cells. She showed images now. Humans in civilian clothes carrying weapons. Makeshift explosives. Traps set on dark roads. The Korthax couldn't tell who was a fighter and who wasn't. Everyone smiled during the day. Everyone killed them at night. Instructor Krell leaned forward. His voice was quiet. This happened on every occupied world? Every single one, Lisa confirmed. She pulled up the star map again. All 15 conquered colonies glowed with red marks. The Korthax owned the cities during the day. But at night they stayed in their fortified compounds. They were too afraid to patrol. She changed the image. It showed a Korthax supply depot. Or what was left of it. Just burning wreckage. They needed supplies. Food. Ammunition. Medical equipment. But every supply convoy was a target. Humans would attack, kill what they could, and disappear. The Korthax would send reinforcements, but the humans were already gone. Why didn't the Korthax just bomb everything? A student asked. Destroy the resistance completely? They tried, Lisa said. She showed images of bombed cities. Empty ruins. They destroyed entire towns suspected of hiding fighters. Killed thousands of civilians. But it didn't stop. It made it worse. Every civilian they killed created 10 more fighters. She pulled up a Korthax military report. This is from the occupation commander on New Terra. Month 4. He writes, we cannot hold this world. Every soldier we send becomes a casualty. Every base we build gets attacked. We control nothing outside our walls. Request permission to withdraw. Did they withdraw? Krell asked. No, Lisa said. Not yet. The Korthax Empire refused to admit failure. They sent more troops, more ships, more resources. She showed the numbers. By month 5 they had 200,000 soldiers trying to control 15 worlds. And they were losing 1,000 soldiers every week. The classroom was completely silent now. Students stared at the casualty counts climbing higher and higher. Then Earth did something the Korthax didn't expect, Lisa continued. She pulled up new images. We started attacking their other colonies. Not the worlds they took from us. Their own worlds. The ones they had held for decades. A star map appeared showing Korthax space. Red marks began appearing deep inside their territory. Small human ships. Survivors from the destroyed fleet. They couldn't fight the Korthax navy directly. So they didn't try. They went after soft targets. Supply depots. Orbital stations. Mining facilities. She showed the damage reports. They would jump into a system. Hit a target. Jump out before the Korthax fleet could respond. Every attack was small. But there were so many attacks. Dozens every week. Across 40 star systems. The Korthax couldn't defend everything, Krell said. Understanding showed in his eyes. Exactly, Lisa agreed. They had to spread their fleets thin. Put guards on every station. Every depot. Every mine. Their military was stretched across hundreds of worlds. And on every occupied human world they were bleeding. She pulled up economic data. This is what broke them. Not the battles. The cost. Every Korthax soldier killed had to be replaced. Every ship damaged had to be repaired. Every supply convoy lost had to be replaced. The math was simple and terrible. Numbers filled the screen. To hold 15 human worlds they needed 200,000 troops. Those troops needed food, weapons, medical care, transport. To protect their own 40 worlds, they needed their entire fleet scattered and defensive. To replace their losses they had to build new ships and train new soldiers. How much did it cost them? A student asked quietly. Everything, Lisa said. She showed the Korthax economic reports. Their economy was built for conquest. Take a world. Extract its resources. Use those resources to take the next world. But human worlds gave them nothing. Just casualties. Just costs. No resources. No profit. Only blood. She pulled up a graph showing the Korthax economy over time. It fell like a cliff. Month 6, their economy shrunk by 30%. Month 7, 50%. Month 8, 70%. They couldn't afford food for their own people. Their client species started rebelling. Their empire was collapsing. And Earth? Krell asked. What was happening to Earth? Lisa's expression grew sad. We were dying. 40% of our population was dead or dying. Our colonies were ruins. Our fleets were gone. By every measure we were losing. She paused. Except one. We were still fighting. She showed images of human fighters. Thin. Tired. Desperate. But still armed. Still moving. Still attacking. The Korthax couldn't understand it. They had won every major battle. They had destroyed our military. They had killed billions. By all logic we should have surrendered. But you didn't, a student said. We didn't, Lisa confirmed. Because surrendering would mean living under Korthax rule. And we decided we would rather die free than live as slaves. She pulled up the final image. Korthax soldiers retreating. Loading onto ships. Abandoning their bases. So the Korthax did the math. They could keep fighting. Keep losing soldiers. Keep bleeding resources. Keep watching their empire collapse. Or they could leave. They left, Krell said quietly. They left, Lisa agreed. Month 8. They withdrew from every human world. They signed the peace treaty. They paid reparations. And then they told everyone they had won. Because admitting the truth was too humiliating. The classroom sat in stunned silence. Finally one student spoke. You won by losing? Lisa shook her head. No. We won by refusing to accept that losing battles meant losing the war. The Korthax won every battle. But they couldn't win the war. Because we would never stop fighting. Lisa pulled up a new image on the display. It showed the biological structure of a Korthax warrior. The insectoid body was complex, with multiple limbs and sensory organs. But Lisa pointed to the head. The Korthax had one great advantage over us. They were connected. Every soldier in a unit shared thoughts with their commander. Perfect coordination. No confusion. No miscommunication. She zoomed in on a small organ at the base of the skull. This is their neural link. It connects to their commander's mind. A Korthax unit moves like one organism. When the commander thinks, attack, every soldier attacks at the same moment. When the commander thinks, retreat, they all retreat together. That sounds incredibly powerful, a student said. It was, Lisa agreed. In normal warfare it was unbeatable. Human soldiers had to use radios. Had to shout orders. Had to hope everyone understood. The Korthax just thought together. They won every battle because of this advantage. She changed the image. Now it showed a Korthax commander. Larger than the regular soldiers. With more elaborate armor. But month 3 something changed. Human resistance fighters on New Terra ambushed a Korthax patrol. 50 soldiers. The humans killed the commander first. Smart tactics, Krell said. We thought so too, Lisa said. But what happened next was unexpected. When the commander died, all 50 soldiers stopped moving. They just stood there. Confused. Lost. The humans killed them all in seconds. She showed the combat footage. Korthax soldiers wandering in circles. Unable to coordinate. Easy targets. The neural link went both ways. The soldiers needed their commander to function. Without him they were helpless. Understanding spread across the room. Students leaned forward. We found their weakness, Lisa continued. She pulled up tactical reports. Every Korthax unit had a commander. Kill the commander and the entire unit collapsed. So that became our doctrine. In every fight, in every ambush, in every attack, we targeted the commanders first. She showed more combat reports. The Korthax tried to protect their commanders. Put them in the back. Gave them better armor. But humans are good at finding targets. We used snipers. Long-range weapons. Bombs. Whatever worked. The numbers appeared on screen. Month 3 we killed 15 commanders. Month 4 30. Month 5 60. Every dead commander meant 50 to 100 soldiers who couldn't fight effectively anymore. The Korthax must have adapted, a student said. They tried, Lisa said. She showed Korthax tactical changes. They put commanders in bunkers. Used drones to relay orders. Trained soldiers to function independently. But it took time. And it reduced their effectiveness. The very thing that made them strong became their weakness. She pulled up a new document. This is what we called the Terran Doctrine. Written in month 4 by Earth's remaining military commanders. It had one simple principle: make the war too expensive to continue. The document appeared in full. Lisa read parts aloud. We cannot win through military victory. Our fleets are destroyed. Our worlds are occupied. But we can make every day of occupation cost the enemy more than they can afford. We bleed them. Every day. Every hour. Until they decide the price is too high. That's not really a military strategy, Krell said slowly. That's just survival. It was both, Lisa replied. She showed the cost calculations. Every Korthax soldier on human soil cost them resources. Food, water, equipment, medical care, transport. Every ship protecting their territory couldn't be used for conquest. Every resource spent on us was a resource not spent on their economy. She pulled up economic data. The Korthax Empire was large but not infinitely wealthy. Their economy depended on continuous expansion. Take a world, extract its wealth, use that wealth to take the next world. But human worlds gave them nothing. Just costs. Endless costs. Numbers filled the screen. Month 6. The Korthax had lost 60% of their pre-war military. Not just soldiers, ships, equipment, weapons, vehicles, everything. And they had to replace it all while also maintaining occupation forces on 15 worlds and defending 40 of their own worlds. Where did the replacements come from? A furry student asked. Their client species, Lisa said. She showed a map of Korthax space. Several systems were marked in yellow. The Korthax Empire controlled 40 worlds directly. But they had defense treaties with 20 other species. Those species provided soldiers, ships, resources. In exchange for Korthax protection. She changed the image. The yellow system started turning red. But the war was draining Korthax resources. They couldn't protect their clients anymore. Pirates raided client worlds. Border disputes flared up. The clients asked for help, but the Korthax fleet was too busy with Earth. So the clients rebelled, Krell said. 4 of them did, Lisa confirmed. She showed the timeline. Month 7. The Draven Collective declared independence. Said the Korthax had broken their defense treaty. Then the Vorless Unity. Then the Seption Worlds. Then the Kral Federation. 4 client species gone in 1 month. She pulled up casualty reports. The Korthax had to send fleets to suppress the rebellions. But those fleets came from somewhere. They pulled ships away from human space. Which meant fewer ships to support their occupation forces. which meant more human attacks succeeded. The numbers kept climbing. Month 7. Korthak's military losses, 65%. Economic output, down 70%. Client species in rebellion, 4. Human world still resisting, all 15. And Earth? A student asked quietly. What were Earth's numbers? Lisa's expression grew dark. Month 7. Human casualties, 38% of pre-war population. Dead or dying. 15 colonies completely ruined. 3 colonies completely evacuated and empty. No functioning fleet. No functioning economy. No hope of military victory. The room was silent. The numbers were terrible. But we were still fighting, Lisa said softly. That was the only number that mattered. We were still fighting. And every day we fought, the Korthaks lost more. More soldiers. More ships. More money. More client species. More stability. She pulled up a Korthak's internal document. This is from their high command. Month 8. A report to their emperor. It says, the human campaign is unsustainable. We have achieved all military objectives but cannot secure any strategic gains. Continued operations will result in complete economic collapse within 6 months. Recommend immediate withdrawal and peace negotiations. They admitted defeat, Krell said. Privately, yes, Lisa said. They knew they couldn't continue. But publicly they never said that word. Defeat. Never. She showed more documents. Instead, they used words like strategic reassessment, and resource reallocation, and peace initiative. They made it sound like they were choosing to leave, not being forced out. She pulled up the final battle report. Month 8, Day 20. The last Korthak soldier left the last human world. They abandoned their bases. Left their equipment. Just loaded their surviving soldiers onto ships and left. 40 billion humans dead, Lisa said quietly. 300 ships destroyed. 15 colonies ruined. That was the price. She looked up at the class. But the Korthaks paid more. They lost their empire. Their economy. Their client species. Their reputation. Everything. Because they tried to conquer a species that wouldn't quit. A long silence filled the room. Then a student spoke. Why didn't you quit? When so many died. Lisa looked at the student. Because quitting meant slavery. Living under their rule. Following their orders. Being less than free. She paused. We decided that wasn't acceptable. So we kept fighting. No matter the cost.